Welcome to TMZ Live. Something happened this morning, a story came out that stopped me in my tracks, and it has to do with a Six Flags roller coaster that is deadly.
There is an extreme coaster here in Southern California that has been closed for a month after 2 people in consecutive weeks suffered severe brain injuries. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, as they say. There have been fatalities from this roller coaster. At least the people who died and their families believe that it's the roller coaster that caused their fatal injuries. One of those people died way back in 2022. And here we are, the roller coaster has been operating up until last month after that death. Christopher Hawley was just 22 years old when he got on board the X2 coaster and died the next day from what doctors describe as essentially the same thing as shaken baby syndrome, just a severe trauma to the blunt force trauma to his brain. His lawsuit has been going on, his family's lawsuit against Six Flags has been going on for 4 years and just settled. And his mother and brother are joining us now. Ann and Alex Hawley, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you so much. We appreciate this.
Thank you, and we are so
Thank you.
sorry. When Christopher got off the ride, was it apparent that he had suffered such a catastrophic injury, or did this just kind of ruminate and happen the next day?
So since I was there, so basically when he got off the ride, he just did not look like himself. I mean, throughout the whole day, he looked completely healthy, completely normal. Yeah, there was nothing absolutely wrong with him. And then when he got off the ride, he just looked extremely red and just so out of breath, and just you could just tell that he was in deep distress. And it was just so apparent that something was wrong. And then when he got off and then when he went down the railings, he kind of gestured us to kind of like to hold on, because he seemed like his head was hurting because he was pointing up at his head. And then he held onto the railings, and then he collapsed. And then my cousin Kyle, who's also there, put his hand behind Christopher's head so his head wouldn't like hit the concrete. So it was very apparent. And then right from there, he was transported from there to the first aid tent, and then he eventually got transported into an ambulance all the way to Henry Mayo Hospital. And yeah, it's been completely just awful. And yeah.
Alex, just to be clear, you actually were on the ride with Christopher that day?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, I was on the ride with him. Yes.
So, and I have to ask you, because the thing that has stunned me here is that was 2022. As soon as something like that happens, you know, I would think they'd shut the ride down, but this ride went on for 4 more years. Did you have any contact with Six Flags over why the ride was continuing? Did they give any explanation for what they said happened here?
Thank you for asking that, Harvey. No, nothing. There's so much that is shocking. We have not heard one peep from Magic Mountain from the moment it happened until now. Even now, it's been through the attorneys, but it has been so disgusting. It's beyond words. Yeah. So no, we have not heard anything.
Wow.
There's no apology, no, but I think you were asking also about the ride. And believe me, when that ride started up, I've been in shock ever since, and as far as the ride still running, that has gutted our family. While Christopher was in the hospital, they closed it down. I'll back up a little. They closed it down for few hours, and then started it back up.
Same day.
That same day.
Same day.
Same day, while Christopher was dying in the hospital. They started it up. I mean, it gets worse, and I know that. Well, that's about as bad as it gets. That is the worst thing, other than Christopher dying. Their behavior it's unbelievable, and my whole fear. Well, not my whole fear, but part of my fear was a large part of my fear was after Christopher passed that this is going to happen again.
So the ride stays open, and then
It does happen again.
It does happen again. The most recent, as we mentioned, I'm wondering what you thought when you heard that they had finally shut it down last month, and who knows what their plans are as far as reopening it. But the two women who suffered severe brain injuries, one woman had a brain bleed, another woman is still in a coma in the first couple weeks of July.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you heard that?
It gutted us. I mean, it sent us right back to where we were 4 years ago, and it's everything that I had feared, that we had feared as a family, and it happened. And it's sure enough, they've been reckless as can be. Close it down for a couple hours. Change a wheel before it's inspected, even though our California safety, OSHA, had told them to keep it as is. And I can say that now because I know that was in a report that came out yesterday. But yeah, so they did what they do at Magic Mountain. They got the ride going. So, and I often think about other people who stepped on that ride right after Christopher died, not knowing that you're getting strapped into the ride that killed my son and Alex's brother. And yeah, so to answer your question, when that happened, it was just, it was like, oh my God, here we are. And my heart breaks and aches so much for those families.
So finally, gosh, you have just recently settled the case, and Six Flags just recently stopped the ride. Is there a connection between those two events, your settlement and the closure of the ride?
So that's a good question, and that we aren't allowed to talk about.
Okay.
We aren't allowed to talk about. Our goal for 4 years has been to shut that ride down. And I will add that we switched attorneys a year and a half ago, and our new firm has been amazing. I wanted to get this out on the media right when it happened, and just do a whole media blitz. And how Magic Mountain has been able to hide these events that happen, hide that Christopher was transported to the hospital and put into emergency surgery, hide it, and keep it from people. So we did get it out on the media last year, thanks to our new legal team. But yeah, our goal is to not have anybody else get seriously injured or injured at all. You shouldn't get a concussion from a roller coaster. You shouldn't get hurt from a roller coaster.
You shouldn't die from a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember saying that to the medical staff when Christopher was dying, that my son is dying because of a roller coaster. And I'll just add, Christopher was everything to our family. I mean, we are a close, whether he was as wonderful as he is or not, he's a human being that went there for a good time with his brother and cousin. But the fact is, they don't care over there at Magic Mountain what they have taken away from us. And so the behavior it's been pretty disgusting.
Wow.
Very disgusting. And like I said, I'm so sorry for these families. I am glad that we got it out a year ago. But again, if people miss a news story, nobody Googles a roller coaster. I never did.
Yeah.
That's why it was so stunning to me.
Yeah,
Look, guys,
Alex,
we are
man.
so sorry
Thank you
that
for
you have gone through this.
sharing this story with us. It's, like you said, it's important for people to know what the potential dangers are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, absolutely.
And that will continue. We will continue advocating for roller coaster safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
to tell you, I did not want to push them, but it sounds like that part of the settlement may well have been to shut down the roller coaster because they seem so
'Cause
concerned
it
about
seems like
other people.
they know, but they can't say
Right.
what the future of that ride is.
So if they did that, they really cared about people and not,
Coming up.
Last month, I went to see Gladys Knight and Smokey Robinson perform at the Hollywood Bowl. The music was amazing, but what I saw from Gladys Knight on that stage was alarming.
We are going to show you just a compilation of a few concerts where there really were some really alarming things that happened on stage.
Be right back.
Last month, I went to see Gladys Knight and Smokey Robinson perform at the Hollywood Bowl.
Right.
The music was amazing, but what I saw from Gladys Knight on that stage was alarming. And I saw that. There were lots of people at the bowl who were talking about it after she finished her set. And we've seen it at subsequent shows. There are all kinds we've gotten people writing into our website constantly saying they are worried about Gladys Knight. They feel like she's being forced to perform because...
And they're pointing at her husband.
Right.
And so...
because her husband is also her manager.
Right. So we are going to show you just a compilation of a few concerts where there really were, as Charles said, some really alarming things that happened on stage. So she is...
A lot of moments where...
She's just out of it. And really one of the great performers, really, I think, in the history of modern music. But she is infirmed. There is clearly something that's off. And
people on tour have told us that what they see seems like dementia.
So we have been working on this story for about 3 weeks now, actually ever since Charles went to the concert, and we've been working on this, trying to figure it out. And we've been talking with William, who told us
William McDowell is her husband and manager.
Told us over a period of weeks that she had 5 or 6 more concerts, and then they were going to pull back, and he was building a little venue for her near their home where she could go and perform almost privately, but that they would finish out this concert series. And we asked him repeatedly about the state she's in, and especially the mental state. And he was open enough to say that she wasn't there. She wasn't all there.
Right. He had seen what other people had seen. He'd seen the comments from fans who were going to the shows. And he did acknowledge to us, he said, look, no one is ever going to make me say that my wife is well, but she wants to perform. She just wants to sing, is what he told us. And that he's basically going along with her wishes, even though he told us that he would prefer she stop performing. But he said, Gladys wants to do this.
And so then the question was, what is Gladys's mental or state such that she can, really say...
Can she make those decisions?
Yeah. And we asked him, has she been tested for dementia? And he said, no, and we're going to be doing that soon. And we
Which
both
made us go like,
why didn't they
wouldn't
do
you
that before the concert?
Right.
Because this has happened in Hollywood, in Las Vegas, in Detroit, where people in the audience were really, really alarmed. So we went back and forth with William.
Yeah, and right before we were about to publish the story that we did about Gladys's condition and what people on the tour were saying.
Yes, this is yesterday late afternoon.
We got a text from William saying this is a statement from Gladys, and in part, and this is the headline from it, it reads that, it says that she is going to be stepping back from performing. There's nothing more.
After some soul searching, I
Yes.
found that interesting. Why is she? Why did it require her to do soul searching?
Right.
You know.
Exactly. It was sort
You know
of
what I mean?
strange that it was worded this was from Gladys.
Well, they
but-
said it was from Gladys.
Right.
It didn't read like Gladys wrote this based on everything we're seeing.
Right, but it said basically that after some soul searching, Gladys
She's
said
gonna
she's
pull
gonna
back.
pull back. There's nothing specific about what show, how many shows she's going to do.
He told us one other thing when we spoke with him on the phone yesterday. He said the next concert is September 5th at the
Yes.
Hard Rock. And if that goes poorly, because he admitted she had really horrible nights and good nights, he said. But if this one went horribly, he would pull the plug on the rest
On
of
the
them.
rest of the dates that she has remaining. She has dates until November 14th right now.
Why not do it now?
Yeah.
Why
I mean,
not get ahead of it and just say, you know what, she needs the time, and then you can leave the door open if you want to, if you think that. She says she wants to do this test to see if she possibly has dementia. Take care of those things now. Don't put that off.
Yeah, and that's what people were saying after most of the, I know at the show I went to, I read people in Detroit actually walked out of the show because they felt guilty watching her in that shape. And
that's the thing, I think it's the concern, because you see older artists sometimes who maybe can't hit notes anymore, who don't have a stage presence, and they just seem diminished as a performer. That's not the case here, because when she does sing, she does sound good.
her voice is
So
tremendous.
that's not what people are upset about. It's
watching
they see
her
what's happening to this
wandering. I mean,
great artist.
Our chat agrees. They're saying it's sad to watch her kind of ramble along the stage and look confused. It almost feels like elder abuse. They just say, Gladys, you're 82 years old. You've had this incredible legacy and career. Sit down and relax. You don't need to keep touring.
And the issue that people were raising is it telling her to sit down and relax or telling William,
she needs to sit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she needs to sit. And that's
he made it sound like what he told us was
it's her.
It's her, and that and in fact he referenced the fact that his mother. He never said that she had dementia, but it sounded like that's what he was inferring. And he said that she stopped.
And when she stopped, she died.
She died, and he's concerned that that's what's going to happen for Gladys. And he says that's why he's allowed her to perform up to this point.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm from Jersey, and I feel like in regards to Gladys Knight, we see here an icon who has given us so much with her music and her talents over the years, and I think that we're still expecting her to show up the same way she did 40 years ago. And while I understand with like age, a lot changes with a person and their mental state, but that again does not diminish who she is as a performer. And we have to give her grace because at the end of the day, this is all she knows. This is who she has been her entire life. And sometimes that journey out of the spotlight is much harder than just staying in it. So I think that we do have to give Gladys Knight her grace. And also remember, she will forever, ever, ever be that icon. And the fact that that voice is still strong is everything.
I got to tell you, I went through 4 LPs of Gladys Knight's greatest hits. I went through 4 of them. I played them so much.
Were you reckless? What are you?
I was. Well,
were
no,
you like breaking them.
Well, no, because that's when you would put a needle on a certain song, and I scratched it enough that I had to buy a new one and a new one and a new one. And, well, I just did. And I'm proud of it.
Coming up.
Well, once again, going on a reality show seems to have backfired on one of the contestants. Angel Victoria Murdoch is a Temptation Island contestant. She said and told everyone that she was a graduate of Duke University. Duke says she did not.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
Well, once again, going on a reality show seems to have backfired on one of the contestants. And has nothing to do with what happened
when
on
doesn't
Temptation
it?
Island. Angel Victoria Murdoch was a Temptation Island contestant. Now, she said and told everyone that she was a graduate of Duke University, that she went through their nursing, was it nursing or PA?
It was nursing.
It was that PA program at physician's assistant program at Duke. Well, if you look at her social media, she did post a lot of things about going through this program. In fact, I mean, she posted sort of her day-to-day life of, now I'm going to do this, and I'm getting ready for this class. It looks like she went there. Duke says she did not, but this is what she posted.
We are simply not okay. We're tired. We're stressed out. We actually need a break. We're overworked and overstimulated at the same time.
Get ready with me for my second rotation as a PA student. So to all my fellow PA students or healthcare workers, listen, I know we all get tired. Give yourself the credit. We are out here grinding, showing up for ourselves, and even if it's fueled only by caffeine and Celsius, we still show up. We still make it happen. So I'm officially halfway through my program, which is insane.
So apparently she didn't go. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We have seen so many reality stars, and they commit heinous crimes, and that's what they get busted for. The fact that you say, I went to Duke, it's like, okay, I know that it's wrong, but it's like,
well, there's no crime here. What actually got her caught?
I'm having a hard time getting outraged by this.
Yeah, so it actually sort of the jig was up, so to speak, when she posted herself in a graduation outfit that was apparently the wrong color. So
the wrong
other
gown
people
on, and
said this is not the color of the Duke graduation outfit.
Especially
and so she messed up.
Other actual Duke graduates, people who were in the program, saw this and were like,
and Duke itself says we have no record of her in our system.
So in other words, if Temptation Island didn't get a college degree, that would disqualify her.
Sort of.
No.
That's what's weird.
Look,
that's what's weird.
She don't even ask.
Well, that's what's weird. She could get on the show without that.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you think part of this is because she reached for Duke, which is one of the top 10 institutions? If she said, I'm a NC State or UNC
I
graduate.
think she was doing that just for social media clips.
Because she wanted to do the whole
But
thing.
she had to clean.
Chad says Duke is one of the most notoriously famous, hard to get into PA programs. But why do it? That's what everyone's confused about.
She's doing it for social media. Here I am.
You're going to get caught, obviously.
No,
but there's no crime.
She only got caught because she went on Temptation Island. Now you have a bigger audience.
And there's no allegation that she defrauded anyone in any way. She just presents herself and maybe puffed a little bit.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to shade him, but I wonder how many people have degrees anyway on Temptation Island. I mean,
That's fair.
They're influencers. They don't necessarily.
Wait, I'm sorry. That was not shading them?
Yeah, you can't say I don't mean to shade and then drop the bomb of shade on everyone and say there are no degrees here.
What the hell?
This is a degreeless land.
I'm Cambria from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a registered nurse for about 16 years and made familiar by this case. And my biggest problem with this, even though she didn't commit a crime, healthcare today has such a problem right now when it comes to trust. And that's from our healthcare. Yeah, that's from our healthcare policies, as we're all aware, even with vaccinations, whatever the case may be. So when you have someone cosplaying a healthcare professional, whether it's a student or not, that degrades the whole integrity of the profession.
That's a really good point. That's the most solid point. We brought Derek in.
Yeah.
He didn't make a good point, but you did.
Yeah. You're hired. Derek, beat it.
Coming up.
The 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks is coming up next month, and President Trump, as you would expect, wants to be involved for the annual ceremony, which obviously on the 25th anniversary will be a little more special. It makes sense for the president to be at that event, but he will not be there.
Be right back.
The 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks is coming up next month. And President Trump, as you would expect, wants to be involved, wanted to be in New York City for the annual ceremony, which obviously on the 25th anniversary will be a little more special. It makes sense for the president to be at that event, but he will not be there. And that is by his choice, because his terms for going were that he would get to speak, that he would have time to make an address to the crowd there, to the TV cameras. And the organizers said, that's not what we do. Well, and if you've watched the annual ceremony each year, you know that
has the president ever spoken in 25 years?
At that ceremony? They don't speak at the ceremony. The only thing that is spoken at the ceremony
are the names.
But they've never had people attend. Their presidents have attended. But that's just not the way they've done it for a long time. So,
but I think
maybe in the first few years there were certainly people who had speeches.
I also think there's an overlay here that
About
they
Trump.
don't want to make this political,
And they know that that's typically what happens.
It's his
when
go-to.
President Trump speaks.
Yeah.
So he is not going to be in New York. What's that?
What?
It looks like Bush and Obama
did.
spoke.
Yeah, I
But
remembered Obama.
But that was early. I think what
Yeah.
they're telling me in the booth is they stopped in 2012 doing any speeches.
But even, look, there's precedent that they have. And if he says, look, I'd like to, it's the 25th anniversary, I don't know that it's an absolute rule since they allowed it before. I just think in this case, there's a worry that it would turn political.
That it would turn political, right.
Yeah,
so, by the way, the president is going to speak, though, on 9/11.
At
Because
the-
instead
at
of
the
going to New York,
Pentagon.
he's going to go to the Pentagon, where he will be making remarks. And whether it gets political or not, we'll see.
Yeah. Like, assuming the story's
Because
true.
he could prove the point of the people in New York
Right.
if what he says at the Pentagon is
right.
political.
I hope he doesn't do that. Gosh, there's got to be some things that are sacred and politics do not get dragged into, and that should be one of them. I take this seriously. I know someone that died in 9/11. I remember the feeling of the country back then. It was like the one time I remember where everyone felt together and nothing else mattered. I hope that when he speaks at the Pentagon, he doesn't make it political.
Hello, my name is Asmao and I live in Los Angeles. I think it's a great thing that Trump is not going to speak at this memorial because that moment is not about him. It's about the families, it's about the victims. And I'm saying this as somebody who formerly supported him and voted for him. That moment should not be about President Trump or anything that he says. It should be about remembering the people who lost their lives and honoring them. But I think it's great that J.D. Vance is going. He seems to be the less polarizing option. And so people can go and, remember their family members without having to worry about what's Trump going to do. And I think it's a good thing. Let's hope that he keeps it, calm and collected
but
at
it's
the
an
Pentagon.
interesting reaction. If I don't speak, I don't go.
Yeah. The war between Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright continues. Even though they have been separated for a very long time, they are still at war. In fact, in court, Brittany Cartwright says that Jax, and I don't know exactly what the timing is on this, but that he said to her, I want to gut you like a fish.
Which means kill you.
That's the only way to, that's how you would interpret
They're
that.
in the middle of a big custody war. She's now gotten a temporary restraining order against him for making those alleged remarks, and I guess other things as well.
This goes all the way back to 2024, is what she's claiming in this temporary restraining order. The most recent incident was a couple months ago. She claims that during an exchange, a custody exchange of their child, he showed up at her house and banged on a door. It alarmed her, and
that's what led to
her going to file this TRO. What we should point out, though, and what his lawyer is really pushing, is the fact that for all of these incidents, she has not filed any police reports. She has not pursued anything criminally. So it's only until now the TRO.
Because of the custody battles, she just didn't want to put the child in the... But what about she submitted for this TRO, there are also some injury photos that she...
Right, so there's injury photos over the course of these multiple incidents that she claims have happened since 2024. She's also alleging that he hacked her electronic devices, might have deleted text messages, gained access to personal conversations she was having.
Here's the problem here, is that they are going to be joined at the hip for the rest of their lives because of the child. And, and it's not just bringing a child up. It's going to a graduation. It's going to a wedding, a birth.
They're going to have to be around each other.
And they're going to have to be around each other at, maybe not all the time, and maybe you could have handoffs with a go-between. But, look, who knows who's at fault? I mean, it sounds like he's done some really terrible things, but, getting divorced, we talked about this in the morning meeting, you can get divorced on paper, but you're not divorced in your head. And being divorced in your head matters more than the paper itself. And this is proof of that they got to figure this out because it is going to damage the child.
Right.
And it happens over and over and over. And eventually, when the child is really, really damaged, they suddenly say, oh, we got to stop. But it's got to go to that point until they see the light.
And that is one of the things that in this temporary restraining order, she was requesting that the court allow her to be the only one that have custody of the kid. The court denied that for now. They have a hearing coming up, and they'll decide then.
Coming up.
There is a roller coaster, an extreme coaster at Six Flags. We spoke to the family of one of the people who died from injuries suffered on that coaster. So how has it remained open after the fatalities?
And who knew this could happen?
Well, joining us now to talk about what actually happens to your brain when you're on extreme coasters like this is renowned neurosurgeon Steven Spitz.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. We had some shocking news at the beginning of the show. If you missed it, there is a roller coaster, an extreme coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain here in Southern California that has been shut down for about a month. It's called the X2. The reason it is shut down, in early July, there were 2 women in consecutive weeks who suffered severe brain injuries. One of them is still in a coma. And beyond that, there have been fatalities, 2 of them in recent years.
We spoke to the family of one.
We spoke to the family of one of the people who died from injuries suffered on that coaster. So how is this still open? How has it remained open after the fatalities?
And who knew this could happen? I mean, this stopped me in my tracks today when I heard it.
Well, joining us now to talk about what actually happens to your body, to your brain, when you're on extreme coasters like this is renowned neurosurgeon Steven Spitz, joining us from Atlanta. Doctor, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dr. Spitz, we talked with this family whose relative died a day after being on that roller coaster. And, you know, the way it's been described is sort of akin to shaken baby syndrome. So can you explain how this whole thing works? Because this kid literally got off the roller coaster and collapsed, went to the hospital, and died.
Yeah, so the brain is basically an organ. It's within a fluid area within a rigid skull. So what can happen during these acceleration, deceleration injuries is when your head is whipped back really fast, or more likely side to side or rotationally, the brain is moving inside of the skull and it can go backwards and forwards. So the brain is squishy and it can hit against rigid brain or rigid skull structures, which can sometimes tear these little vessels called bridging veins that go from the brain to the dura, which is the lining of the skull. Now, when that happens, the brain can, or the blood vessels will leak and the blood will go in between the brain and the skull and it can start pushing on the brain.
So all of that is happening, potentially happening for someone on this ride, yet these rides have been, this one in particular has been open for years and years, more than a decade that this ride has been open. And, you know, there are warning signs that they put up, but I don't think the warning sign says death is a possibility. Is it shocking to you that as many injuries as there have been, that a ride like this is still open?
I mean, I don't want to speak to that, but obviously, yeah, I mean, if you've had injuries and death in similar fashion, that is concerning. Yeah, I don't know why.
Is there a, you know, look, if you look at the numbers, we were talking about it this morning that, yes, there have been 2 fatalities. One woman remains in a coma right now, and other severe injuries, but thousands and thousands of people ride this. So are we talking about a statistical anomaly? Obviously, it is not for the families of those people who suffered those injuries, but for the average person going there, is it kind of like how people say, air travel is extremely safe, yet, despite the fact that we see tragedies happen there, is this the kind of the same thing?
That's really hard to say. I mean, the thing is, they have all happened in similar fashion and similar mechanisms. So it is an extreme roller coaster with extreme G's. So it seems as if there's a lot of lateral movement, a lot of forward linear movement, and up and down movement. So if you subject somebody to an extreme amount of G's, like 4 G's for several seconds, it can cause injury to the brain. In this certain scenario, yeah, I mean, there are thousands of people who ride the ride, and there are risk factors. Like if you are older age, you have more fragile vessels. If you're dehydrated, if you have been drinking all day and then you go on the ride, that kind of shrinks the brain within the skull. So it allows the brain to move even more freely within that fluid area of the skull, causing it to shift even more likely to cause some of those little bridging veins to tear.
But what I hear you saying, doctor, is that like you have to be in like almost perfect condition. Like all those things you just said make sense, but the average person isn't walking up going, well, how much should I hydrate today? And how many G's can I actually sustain? Like nobody thinks about that. They think there's a ride that's open and there are regulations, so you just assume this ride is safe.
No, I certainly agree. I mean, no one's thinking, yeah, I better hydrate for this ride. And even hydrating while you're at the park isn't going to be enough. You should be hydrating days before going. But yeah, you're not going to think about that before going on a roller coaster. Certainly I wouldn't. I mean, usually you think you go to a regular town fair and you think those rides are safe, that they're inspected, and that you wouldn't have to worry about something like that.
Well, that's kind of what I've been thinking about, that this ride has been closed. But there are lots of roller coasters all over the country. And, you know, in the law, we have this phrase, the eggshell skull plaintiff, you know, somebody who is particularly susceptible to certain injuries. And there are people out there, you know, using that metaphor with eggshell skulls. And, you know, forgetting about this ride in particular, what about roller coasters generally, where it does whip you around? I had never really thought of this as a danger, but it seems like the only difference here is in degree. It's not a difference in kind, that you have an extreme roller coaster versus one that is, you know,
more traditional,
whipping you, and it just feels like this is part of the risk of getting on any roller coaster.
I mean, I think I would agree. I mean, I honestly, I don't know the statistics of other roller coasters causing these types of injuries. It seems like this one may be more of an anomaly just because of the sheer type of G-forces that are used on this type of roller coaster. But yeah, I mean, I tell patients all the time, especially if they've had neck surgery or any low back surgery, I don't want them going on a roller coaster. I've actually said that because, you know, they are going through extreme Gs, especially some of the older wooden coasters. You're being jostled around quite a bit. So yeah, that can cause a neck injury. It can cause a low back injury. And certainly like the eggshell skull, if you have an eggshell neck, then that certainly can cause a whiplash injury or a neck injury if you're susceptible. You just don't know. No one gets MRIs before going onto a roller coaster.
I really appreciate you coming on and explaining that with the brain and the fluid and everything else, because I didn't really understand it until you said it. So thanks for breaking it down. Appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dr. Smith.
Thanks.
Coming up.
Tom Hardy, talented guy, right? Seems like he can do just about anything. He's a tremendous actor, jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't have guessed rapping is something he can do. I love Tom Hardy, and I just felt like this is going to be a failure.
Be right back.
Tom Hardy, talented guy, right?
So talented.
Seems like he can do just about anything. He's a tremendous actor, jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't have guessed rapping is something he can do. And in fact, when I heard that he had a song out, I have to admit I cringed because I love Tom Hardy, and I just felt like this is going to be a failure.
It is a good song. It's good.
Pretty damn good.
Everything is real, put it on my name. I went for your head so I could put it on my chain. Move the crowd when I'm stepping through. Better get a clue to get a better view of what I do. I'm bringing out the dead like a paramedic out the cage, directed by Marty. Frank Pierce, the gang's here. Welcome to the party. It's alive, the monster brought to life with the Lights, Frankie Steiner, both the guys.
I love the name too, Frankie Pulitzer. That's a great name.
That's his stage name
That's
when
a
he's
great name.
when he's on the mic.
So it was more than one song, so he put out a whole album. So It's a whole album? So Czar Face is like an underground rap group. I think it's based out of New York, or collective. So they did a collaborative album that he put out. But it's interesting, I didn't know, apparently in the 90s he was really into rap and actually made a mixtape. It never got produced or signed, but it made its way on the internet so you can like hear him.
He's got,
He's
people
good.
with serious pedigree working with him, right?
Oh, for one of the guys
But
that
he's
did
not
the
giving up
Wu-Tang.
acting, right?
Huh?
No,
he's not giving up acting.
No.
No.
Mobland's coming back next.
No,
It's a side hustle.
I think this is clearly what he's passionate about and what he likes
Every
doing.
actor is passionate about singing.
Right. Well, this is rapping, but I think he just wanted to have fun, and he had this opportunity, and it turned out pretty good for him, I thought.
Yeah. Okay, what else you guys want to talk about?
Hey, what's up? My name is Omar. I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm speaking about like Gladys Knight. I feel like it's interesting because if Gladys Knight wants to sing, and that's beautiful, I think that's great. But I think that we keep getting statements from people that aren't Gladys herself. So it'd be nice if somebody propped a camera up and had Gladys say what's really going on with her,
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I do not think that's going to happen. One more.
Hi, I'm Adriana, and I was going to talk about Trump not being invited to speak at the Ground Zero for 9/11. I think that he doesn't have the decorum that it takes to kind of speak. He kind of has not been doing a good job with that. So I think it's a good idea to not invite him and invite more people who might say something nice about our country rather than just make it about Democrats versus Republicans all the time.
Okay, we should say, it's not that he was not invited. He
Actually,
was
he was
invited.
invited, yeah.
It's just they said they declined his offer to speak. So he said, I'm not coming.
And then he turned to J.D. Vance and said, you go. There's no speaking at this one. You go. Basically the way it played out.
Coming up.
Not that you need any reason to go to Paris. I think you should always go to Paris if you can. But Celine Dion is going to be giving people another reason to go. She's going to be starting her residency there soon. And she arrived in Paris, of course, as you would expect, got an incredible welcome.
Be right back.
Not that you need any reason to go to Paris. I think you should always go to Paris if you can. But Celine Dion is going to be giving people another reason to go, a great reason. She's going to be starting her residency there soon. And she arrived in Paris and, of course, as you would expect, got an incredible welcome. The city's got to be just buzzing about having her there.
Well, it's a big deal because, look, she has stiff person syndrome, and it is not a curable disease, but it's one that is manageable. And she apparently has figured out a way with her doctors of managing it to a point that she can start performing again. And it is a huge deal that she is.
Do you remember before the Olympics when she performed in Paris?
Yes.
And what a moment that was. I'm sure that moment is when someone said, we need to get her back here if she can perform again. And thank God
I have to say
she can.
That, I'm not the first person to say this, but, with Dolly Parton now gone, again, who do you look to who is universally loved?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Celine Dion is in that small group.
She's in the pocket. She's
Yep.
definitely in the pocket.
Have a great weekend.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.